In this video, I want to talk specifically about formative assessment. The techniques used in learning analytics, those other more advanced techniques, are very useful, but teachers can use substantially less complex data analysis techniques to still provide very effective supports for students. One strategy that can be very powerful is the use of formative assessment as a way to collect data and then use that data to determine pacing, instructional strategies, and interventions that will best support student learning. So aside from the more advanced data analysis techniques, the kinds of data analysis techniques that teachers have been using for a long time are still very valuable, just to determine which students performed better or worse on some kind of an assessment, which questions were missed most often. That tells the teacher the concepts that were something that need to be reinforced a little bit better. Those are still very good strategies. So whereas summative assessment is used as an evaluation at the end of the learning cycle, formative assessment measures how students are progressing on the learning objectives during the learning process. The focus shifts from an assessment of learning to an assessment for learning. This information is used to answer important questions like who needs more help, who needs more challenge, what collaborative groupings of students could be effective, and what concepts need to be reinforced. This is not to say that summative assessment shouldn't be used, but formative assessment is an essential strategy in getting students to the point of acquiring the knowledge and skills they need. Formative assessment has been shown to be a valuable tool in supporting student achievement. In Hattie's meta-research on many different instructional practices, formative assessment is ranked as having a positive impact on learning. Data collected from formative assessment leads teachers to make effective instructional decisions. Formative assessment is especially beneficial for struggling students since it helps to identify the areas in which they need support. Quizzes and practice problems are a couple examples of formative assessments that teachers routinely use in a traditional classroom, so they are already in wide use. However, the most important step of formative assessment strategy is to use the data to make decisions about how best to help students continue in their learning journey. Teachers should tap into the incredible amount of valuable information that is available to them with these kinds of assessments and activities. Another powerful effect of formative assessment is that the classrooms that use this strategy can foment other changes in that classroom. Assessment is an integral and necessary component of teaching and learning, and by changing the model of assessment, the teaching and learning can be transformed to better meet the needs and goals of students in the 21st century. For one, using formative assessment places a larger emphasis on the growth that students make instead of focusing so much on the final outcome. Proper use of formative assessment puts students and teachers in the mindset of looking for ways to improve, which empowers students to take the necessary steps to eventually achieve learning outcomes. Surprisingly, this can also place a higher emphasis on mastery, because the recursive and repetitive nature of formative assessment establishes the goal of reaching and maintaining mastery. In a traditional model, assessments are essentially used to rank students, which indirectly communicates to students and teachers that students can't actually improve their learning, that it is just what it is. So shifting the focus to achieving mastery at the end of learning changes the assessment regime, can focus stakeholders on the belief that every student can learn, not just the ones that have been successful in the past. This is partially realized because formative assessment makes teaching more responsive to the learners so that they can be properly supported. This is a lofty goal, but the tools available in the digital age of education help teachers be more effective at meeting the needs of students and for students to develop the knowledge and skills they need. It is important to remember that formative assessment helps students achieve the learning outcomes established in the classroom. So an important question to ask is, are the learning outcomes any good? I believe that since formative assessment helps students master important concepts, this enables students to pursue mastery in other skills that they need to be successful in the 21st century, such as collaboration, creation, drawing inferences, and making connections. One quote that I like about this topic is that skills such as persistence, goal focus, attention to detail, investigation, and information synthesis are more likely to be the most important for success in the coming decades. And that's from Conley in 2015. Formative assessment is one powerful strategy that teachers can employ to better prepare their students for success in the real world. Well, thank you for listening to these videos about the power of data in schools and how these techniques and this mindset and these strategies can be used to help students perform greatly in their educational career.